Natural leader.
Hi, Philip. We missed y'all last week.
I know.
Were y'all out
we were
playing?
Yeah. So I don't remember where I was in Amarillo.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
That's a drive.
Yeah.
Is it a little colder there?
It was a little colder,
Yeah.
yeah.
You put what your grandparent name is, and then your name too, and how many grandkids y'all have. Y'all are the ones. Y'all have 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I thought. Well, this group filled up quick, huh? Straight to the door. Is Linda gonna be here this morning?
She's not going to be here for class.
Okay, well tell her we missed her, and I'll text her too.
Okay.
Good morning.
Didn't know where he wanted to sit. Hi, y'all. How are y'all this morning? Good to see ya.
Are we doing the same thing?
Same old thing. Same old thing. Have y'all had a good week? You smell nice.
Leonard. The couple.
Thornton. Dave. Thank you.
Oh, I do. Most embarrassing things you do. Yeah. Don't realize.
They're as embarrassed as Odin was.
I do not know what I have done. I know it's just one checkbox where it will not, I cannot get it to like transition to the next slide without clicking it.
You have to reverse the timing to tell it how long. Otherwise, it'll just, you just
Have to
do it
click it.
manually.
Okay. I will work on that and try to make that better. Well, I hate that you're having to do that. I don't like that part for you or for anybody.
We'll fix it for next time.
He got his time out while they cleared the floor.
Now that he mentioned what it is, I know where it is on the.
Well, I know where it says rehearse timings, but I hadn't. I couldn't. Look at those pretty babies. That's right. Some around the room.
Good morning.
Well, you're not alone. Every week I get a couple more, so we have only two new ones, but we just thought we'd keep. So whenever you have time, and probably most people won't, but during the Christmas holidays, you'll probably get some really good shots. So, sure, absolutely. I noticed you only sit one.
I have individual ones of them now.
Yeah. Absolutely. We need to,
Good, sir.
needs
Good.
a little help. Carol Williams sent me a 9x12.
Good morning. How are you?
And inside the 9x12 were individuals.
Morning, David. How are you, sir?
Sit two of those. Hi, you.
Good morning. How are you, darling?
How are you?
Good. You must have stole Melly's Christmas earrings. She got some of those too. I think hers are green. Oh, that's right, yeah. And she has to start about Thanksgiving time to get, being that school teacher world. Well, she had, yeah. Top of our closet is October, November, December. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what it is looking for? Well, it can come in. I'm not ordering nothing for the rest of next year. It didn't work it.
Good morning, Kate. How are you, sir?
Not like the rest of you.
Penny,
How are you? Good morning.
Yes, I put them over here this time so that y'all didn't have to like clog the door. And Penny, I got this one for you. I had one for Shelley, but that one is for the grandmothers. So I don't know. I don't do the gingerbread house because that's what Miles does. But I loved how the talk was within that, and I think that could be taken anywhere, not just at gingerbread. Yeah.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
I'm well. I'm good.
Can I
Good.
come in here?
Absolutely. Come right ahead.
Hey,
And she's going to make you get
how
branded.
y'all doing? Okay, so if you'll stop right here and get a name tag.
Okay.
Do y'all have grandchildren? Nope.
But
That's okay.
we're going to have grandchildren anytime now.
That's all right.
We're expecting.
Yeah.
So I don't,
This is that
be a Christmas present.
This is that precursor.
Yeah.
Twin girls.
Woo, woo.
I should have wrote something on that before I peeled it.
Instant Christmas.
What am I supposed to write?
Do you,
So sorry, sir. How are you?
I'm gonna be over by myself.
You might be. You might put on some deodorant or something. They might sit closer to you next time.
If anything, soft, they would start with it.
I requested to be called Shooter, but I'm not sure if they'll do that.
oh, I'm so excited for you. Yeah, if you know what you want to be called, just go ahead and put it on there. Or if you don't, it's fine too. It's fine. Either way. We don't care. We're
put
pretty
my-
easy on here.
My nickname's Shooter. Shooter.
Yeah, we told
That's what
her.
they'll call you.
I don't know. I can't keep up with the game.
All right. And you're welcome to sit anywhere. The inside the groups, there's some handouts. You're welcome to take them, or you can leave them. Either one. You can use it for trash one.
Pull your mic, the mic bar higher on your stuff.
Yes, and I haven't turned it on yet either. I'm sorry. Like this.
That's better.
Now they're really going to hear what I said. Can you hear what I said? Okay.
Same value, same kind of deal.
Just some walking.
They're moving the chairs so they can hear that.
I can tell
Hi,
there's going to be a
Mike.
problem.
How are you?
Spell my name. I don't write my name very much. Look, it's many people call ask my phone number. No, I don't call myself.
I don't call myself. That's right.
What else?
What
Good
did
morning.
they call you?
Morning. How are you, sir?
Hi, you.
Great, how you doing?
Good, good.
Hi.
We're gonna do this again.
Yes. You're the name they call you.
Brag.
Oh, so I don't
Yes.
have to do anything then.
Well, if you don't want to, but you might. We have some new people in here this morning.
Do what?
So we have new people in here this morning, so they might want to know you.
But I'm not a grandparent, so what do you
That
want me
part
to do?
doesn't matter. You just put your name.
They know us.
What other people
Yeah.
call you?
What
other
other
people
The potential is there.
Pops.
Yeah, it's probably, what, hey, you?
Hey,
And you'll need a pen if you don't have one.
Okay, I brought a pen.
Okay, all right. And and if y'all would join that group up at the front. Oh wait, we have some more, so it's gonna be okay. Hey, Marcy, can I get you to sign your name tag, Sheila?
we got
Y'all
some more
just
coming
put
in.
your
Y'all
names
together
on
over here.
there.
Young. There's some more.
I'm gonna leave the lid off.
You gotta have eyes in the back of your head if you sit here. So you gotta have eyes in the back of your head if you sit there.
You don't need to take that. Thanks, Dean. Well, hello there. It's fine. Come on in.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
will
That's the whole idea
make your
behind this
name
deal.
tag.
If you don't like the ones you were with last week, you just grab
Your
some.
green kiddos call you.
Well, and then
How
John
many
just
you
grabs a
have?
chair and joins them.
Put your grand name first, then your number of grandkids, and then your real name, what everybody else calls you. And there's handouts in your group. You're welcome to pick those up. That's it. You want to make for, what did they call him?
Be here in a minute.
That's fine.
Told him where it was. So he may be hunting because he's like, I don't know like where it is.
I'll track him down in a minute if he doesn't show up. And just feel free to sit anywhere you want. Thanks, Barb.
Well, good morning. It's a little after 9. We'll go ahead and get started. Love to hear the conversations that y'all are having. Welcoming back to our Grandparenting Matters class.
She's right over there.
Melly and I are glad that y'all are here and appreciate the activities that y'all participate in every time we have class. As we start the class each time, there were some videos, some slides where y'all showed off your grandkids. Send them to Melody, she'll put it together. Don't send them to me, because I'll just send them to her. So just send them to Melody and she'll get it put together for you. While we're doing that, I want to thank Mark. He has been really good about making our life easy. We send him the stuff and he fixes all of our mistakes and makes it work the way it's supposed to. So Mark, thank you for all that. As has been our tradition, first time out, we introduced ourselves as with our grandparent names. We have some new recruits to class, so we're going to let y'all start. Thorns, if y'all want to.
Yeah, Dave Thornton, the grandkids just call me Papa.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Linda Thornton, and I actually have two names. Jamie, Jake's son, calls me Linders.
Lenders, okay.
But the other grandkids call me Gma.
Gma. All right. Cool.
Awesome.
I hate to even give you the floor, but go ahead.
I'm John Scott. I don't actually have grandkids as the president. I will have in a couple of weeks.
January 10th.
We're waiting on twin girls to come.
Oh, look at the crowd.
Everybody outside of church knows me as Shooter. That's my nickname. I know it's a politically incorrect nickname.
Well, it depends on where you live.
Still my nickname. So I didn't know. I panicked and just wrote that on. They'll probably call me something else, hopefully. I don't know. And that's Melissa.
I wrote down Mom because it's my initial, and I can kind of go either way.
Well, that might
That's
work really
awesome.
good. Cool.
Yeah, I love that.
It's easy to say, yeah.
They will.
Start.
So no grandkids and no twins on the way.
That you know of.
Boy, that's right. So I'm Hey You.
Hey, you? Well, what do you want to be called?
I don't have no idea. So
Grandmas usually have this figured out long beforehand. All right.
I'm scared.
Good answer.
The scientific minds that are married now, there's no telling what's going to come up.
We understand. You need to be preemptive on that strike. You need to sort of lay out some options before it happens. Otherwise, you might get embarrassed from time to time. Yeah. Mike?
Well, my grandkids call me Stud.
There you go, buddy.
And you wish.
How about Pawpaw?
And I am Marmy.
Marmy. All right. And we get to keep up with their grandkids, family. You know, we see posts on them all the time. So, yeah. How many grandkids do you have?
We have 5.
5.
Dave,
Y'all have-
you and how many
Y'all
of
have 10?
We've got 10.
10. Y'all have 2 in the oven, right? Okay. All right. Well, good, good. Each week we have a guiding question. And last week's guiding question was, what is one way you can be more intentional in passing on your faith? We have a wordle that we used the week prior that is sort of the theme of what we do as grandparents. But the question last week, y'all provided a whole list of things, so y'all have a copy of those. I just want to share.
I put them out in the group so y'all didn't have to take all the handouts. So Mike has them in this group. That's them. Yeah, there's several handouts. I think there's 4 different handouts.
Yeah. And in case you can't tell, this isn't a traditional set and get class. We want you to be interactive. Something I can do to be more intentional as a grandparent. I just picked out some key things that I thought were interesting. One, I can encourage and listen. Talk about God and creation. One that I thought was very good because people are afraid to do this. Share my mistakes. Provide opportunities to play church. You know, we've got 2 boys and both of them are plugged in 440 most of the time.
Here's some more.
But it's amazing to watch them from time to time. One of them's leading singing, one of them's saying prayer because they're playing church. Okay? So whenever they're twisting off in the seat in the church building, they're really paying attention. Okay? We see it in school every day. You know, that kid that's laying under his chair can tell you everything the teacher said throughout the day. So sometimes we have to let go of our ideas of how they're supposed to act. Talk with them about attributes of choosing friends. You know, in the school world, I see kiddos who choose the wrong friends, and then they have to deal with the aftermath. So choosing good friends makes a difference. Let them see us pray. Teach them to pray. Be consistent in actions based on biblical values. You know, one of the things that I watched as a young principal, I watched a teacher share with moms when she would have those kind of counseling sessions was how to be consistent with your children. If you tell them no, the answer is no today, tomorrow, the next day. If you tell them yes, the answer is yes today, tomorrow, the next day. Be consistent with your kiddos. And then let them see me reading my Bible. All right, let's move on. Our scripture that sort of guides this class is only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget God as you live. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. That's part of being a grandparent. Teach your children and their children after them. Our guiding statement for today are, what are some ways you struggle with accepting your new role now that your child is a parent and you are the grandparent? This is sort of what led us to get interested in a Bible study on this very thing. What do you do as a grandparent? Because if you don't think they give you a book on how to be a parent whenever your children are born, they sure don't give you a book on how to be a grandparent. Okay? Today we're going to get a little deeper into the Bible conversation. We're going to talk about things that the Bible says. What does the Bible say about grandparenting? Let's start with 2 assumptions. Grandparenting is different than parenting. Grandparenting is different than parenting. You know, those of us that are type A personalities, we still want to be in charge. You have to let that go. It's hard for great big bald-headed guys to let it go. But you have to let it go. In the Bible, grandparents are included in Bible's definition of a family. Whenever you study the Bible, whenever you read about the Bible, I think last week or week before last in the communion focus, there was a conversation about how families were structured. You know, you study the Jewish faith, they lived, I won't say in a commune, but they lived in blocks. New York City is based on a Jewish type structure, to where the families were together. It's more like a clan. You think about the U.S. up until the end of World War I, middle of World War II, mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa all lived in the same house. Okay? In today's world, we think it's a little strange that Grandma and Grandpa live on the ranch and the 3 kids live on the ranch. We think that's strange because our society has changed. During World War II, the Industrial Revolution came through, and we became a mobile society. So it's not uncommon for families to live spread out all over the United States. Or if you live in Texas, all over Texas. Yes, ma'am.
That is the way it is with the church as well. We talk about the church as being our family, our spiritual family. But there is a ministry for children, there's a ministry for parents, and there's a ministry for you as well. So I think that the concept of family, even though we are in a mobile society, we want you to know that you matter. No matter what, you matter.
Oh, there may be somebody at the door. Let's get into more Bible talk.
Is it tasty?
Grandparents have a new role. Let's look at Genesis 2, verses 24.
I mean, there's a guy over there munching down on
And this may seem like a stretch, but let me get there, all right? This is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united with his wife. They become one flesh. What happens in a marriage? What happens whenever our children get married?
How many grandkids you have,
Do they stay around the house?
and then what everybody else calls you.
No. They leave the house, and that leaves us in a different role. It implies that we have a different role. We're no longer over that house. We're no longer in charge of our kids because they are adults and they've accepted that role as a family unit. Now, we have a role in that process, and we'll talk about that more as the day goes on. Grandparents become a place of honor. I think about Mike's mama. They call her Yaya. Okay? Her grandkids love Yaya. Okay? She was way up here on the pedestal, all right? And she held them in high esteem as well. You've got a chance to disciple them. You influence them every day. You're that second voice. Mom and Dad should be the first voice, but you're that second voice to talk to them about Scripture, about faith. Exodus 20, verses 12. Grandparents have multi-generational responsibilities. Honor your father and mother so that they may live long in the land and the Lord God is giving you. Ephesians 6, first part of that chapter talks about honor your father and mother. Obey them. It's part of the commands, part of the commandments. We're supposed to honor our parents. As a grandparent, you're still a parent to your children. But those grandchildren should see how your children honor you or how you honor your parents. So in turn, they learn that by seeing. In every season of our life, we have different roles. Melody, you want to touch on that one?
No.
Okay. Okay. We talked about whenever our children get married, our influence doesn't end. In today's world, these things keep us really close together. We're fortunate. Miles calls nearly every day. On his way home from work, he touches base with us. That's just something he does. Being an only child, we were the kids around the house. Okay? But we're really close as well. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not so good. Okay? Sometimes we know more than we want to know. But I'm glad we can have those conversations. Proverbs 17:6 talks about the crowning glory is to be a grandparent. Deuteronomy 4:9. Only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen and let them fade from your heart as long as you shall live. In today's world, our culture is different than it was 2,000 years ago. Too often, we don't understand the multi-generational piece, and we touched on that a while ago. But every day it becomes more in focus for me as I watch things at school. There's just not as much in touch with family and kids. Parents don't know what their kids are doing. Grandparents don't know what their grandkids are doing. Let's talk about a formula for grandparenting. This course came up with this formula. It's a 1-2-4 formula. So start off with Deuteronomy 4:9 talks about watching yourself. Don't let the words fade from your heart. Watch yourself. What does that mean? You need to study. You need to know what the word says. You need to know what you say is important. In our life, we're closer to the end of our life than we are the beginning of our life. We've seen lots of things. Mike and I have this conversation from time to time. We've seen a lot of things happen in our lifetime. I think about my dad, who passed away at 94. He was alive during Pearl Harbor. He saw the towers go down. He plowed with a horse and a plow. And he drove a 40-20 tractor. Okay? Up until right before his death, one of his favorite things is to cut and bale hay. Okay? He saw all that work from shoveling the hay into a standalone hay baler to a fully modernized rig to where basically he didn't know how to punch the buttons to make it work. Okay? Because it had passed him by. You have the chance to be the most godly person you've ever been. Because those of us who have came into that retirement years, we don't have to focus on making a living so much anymore. We can focus on taking care of ourselves and making us closer to God. When your kids get out of the house, you don't have ball games to go to as much until the grandkids come along, and then you have 72 ball games to go to. Okay? Yeah. We're not there yet, but we're not too far from it. You know, your calendar fills up in a hurry.
And I think this is the time that even though we want to relax and we want to step back, that is not your role. Your role is to be as active as possible in their lives. How else are you going to do what it says when it says, watch yourselves carefully or closely so that you don't forget what you've seen, what God has done for you? How are you going to tell them if you're not watching yourself?
You know, it's important that we maintain our faith. We've talked about that. You know, it's easy to hop in a vehicle and run around the countryside and not find a church to go to whenever you're off and away. It's easy to make that happen. But sometimes whenever you're off running and playing with the grandkids, there's nothing wrong with having your own church service at the top of the mountain. That's a pretty special time too. You know, I think about a time in Miles's life, we went to a jackpot in San Angelo with a whole group of young couples who showed under my program. And we pulled over in a roadside park on the way home on a Sunday afternoon, and we planned this out outside of San Angelo, and we had our church service right there in the roadside park. And those kiddos who now have kids share that from time to time, that they remember that day. We show them that it can be done wherever you're at. It doesn't have to be inside the building, okay? My dad always said the church building make a great big hay barn, okay? Because it's just a building. Church is where you're at. So those things are important. The number 2 talks about teach them to your children and to your grandchildren. So first off, you take care of yourself. Make sure you're in line with where you need to be. And your next role is you teach 2 generations. Teach your kiddos and teach your grandkids. Now the next one gets a little more out there. Think 4 generations. He decreed status for Jacob and established the law in Israel, which he commanded our ancestors to teach their children, so the next generation would know them.
That's 3 right there.
Even the children yet to be born, and they in turn would teach their children. That gets way down the line. Okay? I'm going to go to the cattle world. Mike and I talk genetics and cattle all the time. In the cattle world, if you want, you have an end game in mind. But you start off with this bloodline, and you add to this bloodline, and you added this bloodline so that you can end up over here. We're talking 4 generations. We're talking great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids. How are they going to know God's Word? It tells us in this scripture that we're to tell them the story. Because way, way, way back when, you know, I think Moses carved it on a stone tablet, okay? And not everybody could pull it up on their iPhone and read it to their kiddos. They told the story over and over and over and over and over again. Mike?
If you study the history of the Plains Indians,
Mm-hmm.
their whole, think about it, they didn't have a written language. Their history was passed down through stories and songs. And they would be repeated over and over so that the little kids learned, you know. And that's kind of what we need to do, at least in the sense we've got so many more tools than the Plains Indians have.
You know,
That's true.
this time of year, families together. We have a whole set of VHS tapes that whenever my granddad was alive and my dad was alive, they were about the same age. My brother and I purposely asked them questions of stories that they had told us as kids so that we could record them so our kids might could hear them tell the stories. If you've ever been to a Hicks family reunion and you get all of Mike's brothers in a room, you're going to hear more than one story, okay? Sometimes it's the same start to the story, but it sort of spreads out for after that, okay? But the end game is they're telling the story of their family and what they did and how they did it and how much church was important to them, okay? It's our role to teach salvation. And whenever you really stop and think about teaching salvation, they don't have to memorize 42 verses in the Bible. They needed to know the story of Christ. That's right. Okay? I can remember whenever the Church of Christ didn't do much about Christ being born. I grew up in a church where to this day, they're not talking about it this week. Okay? I can promise you.
And where
I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah, me too.
They did it on other days, but they just chose not to focus on it right now.
The congregation that I grew up in still doesn't. I mean, we would not have done a poinsettia. I wouldn't be wearing green and red. I mean, it was different. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there are differences in society and different beliefs.
Hey, Mel, good point to make right there, because I get on the internet sometimes. And, you know,
Really?
No.
and people, there are still a few people who make a big deal about Christmas. Well, that's not Christ's birthday. Everybody ought to know that, and they'll go on. There's not any scripture that says, and my attitude is, in today's world, you're talking about, say, Easter or Christmas or Thanksgiving. Pretty much anything that points to Jesus is a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Telling the stories, Christ preached his whole life by telling stories. Everything revolved around a parable or an action. We can do the same thing. As grandparents, they're going to sit and listen to us. You know, we had our 2 grandkids sitting over here eating a donut this morning, okay, because Lindsay and Miles dropped them off with us, and we wouldn't trade for that. But they listened to what we had to say, okay, while they were eating a donut. Take time to have that conversation when they're eating a donut, or when they're playing in the sand pile out back, or when they're driving you nuts, okay? Because it will happen. The twins, get ready. Get ready. So, first off, take care of yourself. Make sure you know what you're supposed to be doing. Second is our job is to teach our children and our grandchildren. And then we need to tell the story so that it goes down the line. This is perpetuating our faith. It's that snowball rolling down the line. Well,
I would like, can I play just a minute?
yeah, go ahead.
So if I could have a volunteer from this group and one from that group
Thank you, Craig.
and one from over here. Just one per group. It's not hard, I promise. Okay. Yay, Kyle. Please? Somebody? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't, that part doesn't matter.
We don't discriminate.
Okay, so Shelley, if you'll stand about right here, okay? And Kyle, if you'll move like right here, and then you're fine. No, this is not, I do not intend to embarrass anyone, but I wanted to tell you where I was whenever I was looking at being an influence. So I thought that, like, my mom was supposed to teach me. I was supposed to teach Miles. Miles was supposed to teach his. I thought of it like a race, like, okay, here's my faith. Here's Miles. And he's going to take it to his kids. Now, look what Shelley and I did. Kyle, go ahead and take it to...
How did he drop?
Right. That's exactly right. Okay, and see, my goal should be that fourth generation that I don't see. But look what happened to all three of us, and you're by yourself. I became a spectator. I came right back where I started. Perpetuating my faith would be more like the Olympic torch than the relay. Like this. Here's the torch. And then I'm behind her. She's behind him. Oh my goodness, look what happened. Who are we supporting? That fourth generation. So that's where I felt I wanted to be. And I hope you do too. Thank y'all. See, it wasn't hard.
Village raised.
It takes a village, that's right.
And throughout your life, I don't know about y'all, but I've slowed down some. I hurt in places I didn't know I had, okay? I got up a while ago and I'm thinking, what is that, okay? In that race, especially in the Olympic piece of it, toward the end, you're no longer running as fast, okay? And eventually you're not there at all. But it just keeps going, all right? Let's do some group work. You should have some sticky notes somewhere.
There's some groups may be sitting on the sticky notes. Okay, and I need to give y'all more because I just had 10. So you'll need a pen.
What we do each week is we ask that you answer a question, write down
some more
one
sticky
thing,
notes.
and then Melody will appoint a group leader in your
Yeah,
group.
here we go.
And the
There's
question
some-
we want you to answer are, what are some ways you struggle with accepting your new role now that your child is a parent and you are a grandparent? Anybody need writing utensils?
Yes, we have several that need them.
Let's go to,
Here's
I
one.
think I put the wrong one up there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all.
No, that's not the question. Ignore that, ignore that.
Here we go. Sorry.
What are some ways you struggle with accepting your new role as a grandparent?
What is a way you have a little struggle accepting the role?
I don't have grandkids.
I know you don't, but you have adult children. Does everybody have sticky
We'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to write that down, and then, have you already appointed group leaders?
No, I haven't. Just,
Grump, will you continue with the group leading thing? Sure. Dennis, will you be the group, or you be the group leader again? You want to be group leader? I think so.
Leslie, Hoss, I guess I'll go first so everybody kind of can tell. But this week has been exceptionally hard for me. I'm not going to touch on it too much because I might get emotional, but Lindsay and the boys were at our house on Thursday, and Logan was not doing what Lindsay had asked him to do. And
Multiple times.
Yeah, she's had trouble all week with him for whatever reason. But we support what they say. If they do not want them having milk at nighttime, we don't have milk. I mean, I'm very much regimented that way to be supportive. But Logan blatantly defied what Lindsay had told him not to do and gave the reason for it. And I disciplined him. And in my mind, even though they have given us permission, like my heart was broken. Now, it didn't affect him, but my heart was
about that long?
broken. And I told Lindsay later, I feel like I've crossed that line. Like in all this time, I've always stepped back, let them do their thing. But this time, whenever he defied her and I saw it, this was my trial this week, is where is that line? So this particular question was really, it got me this week. I really struggled with it. So anyway, maybe that can
Visit out a couple of minutes, and then we'll come around and ask for comments from the group, okay?
Keep moving the goalposts here.
What are some ways you struggle with accepting your new role as a grandparent? Now that your child is a parent and you're a grandparent. That other one was wrong.
I'll start off.
Fat fingers aren't very good. So.
I know my thing is because I have trouble staying in my own lane.
me too, Kyle. I can't stay in my lane.
Yeah. You get to be the.
We'll be on 30 over here. Just like I do.
But my thing is, how far on anything do kids go towards that cliff? Do you see them fall over? Not to be a point where no. But I know that's my problem, staying in my own lane because I expect kids to be different like I expect them to wear. That's the way I was taught.
And I'm not navigating.
When I see it happen, I start going.
Rules and
And
regulations.
the struggle is the kids that are here.
Some of them.
Our son-in-law is really struggling.
Kids are asking me to do. I can't do that.
Sometimes they shut that door.
No,
And so we spent, or I spent, but it was without me,
it will get back.
about
They will.
4 months
Even
be
though
totally
she's
shut
only
out of my
4,
daughter's
she will
life,
be
and I
telling
talk to her
mom
every
and
day.
dad what happened.
So that was really hard too.
They will rat
You
you
did.
out.
You let Lindsay do one.
You know, then I could slide back in and
Struggle on that.
okay.
It actually.
You know, and the only reason I got shut out is because I was on.
Craig, you know me well enough.
I didn't do anything wrong, but I was on.
You can do.
There's times like that, say family Christmas.
So where is that line? You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
that. I think that
changes.
yes, constantly. Yeah, it changes. I agree totally. Yeah, very hard. Yeah, good.
Harder to keep up with the younger kids.
Some of them, all you gotta do is look at it.
That's the problem, I think, in school business right now. They try to follow kids learning
I'm younger
in one thing, and all the teachers teach the same way, and they don't. They won't can everything, they can't can everything.
I got into it with
Yeah.
the teacher one
Yeah.
time.
They
Gotta
want
teach
everybody
them all the
to-
same.
They want this class to be the same place this class is, with two separate students and levels
Oh,
of
then you
students.
talk to,
It don't make
And
sense.
that's also come up also where I'm just going, oh, you're being unreasonable with them.
And that
And that,
where you are right now, that is like you have that grace-filled grandparenting role.
I didn't have that.
I didn't either. And I felt like I had been pretty graceful up to this point this week.
that my brother is a fine young, just a fine man. The biggest shot fight we didn't hit each other that we ever had was over the way I thought he was treating his son John. Because he was killed us back on the ball game.
Child, their mom or dad don't agree. Teach them. Oh, yeah, just like, here I am over here doing something different. Worry about that a lot.
I just said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. To me, it's harder watching Rosie all the time, grandparents.
Then when you know, there's an easier way.
Absolutely, Missy. Absolutely.
They don't want to hear about.
And when I was growing up, I guess I listened to older generations because I sit there and I thought, man, they've been wise. And I can learn and not make those mistakes. And so you're sitting here going, you want your kids not to go down the street. I really have to fall some and get back up.
We had one.
And I've seen mine come around, especially one of them. You know, she was gonna be this positive, be whatever. And after taxing them whip them, around and just brings them back out. Anyway.
When I had my first baby, I did everything my mother told me. I knew she had four. She knew what she was talking about. You don't do that now.
No.
They got to read wait till they.
That's right.
And when they ask, oh yeah.
And on
I'm
the
so
deal,
proud of
and on the
you.
deal with the milk and stuff, I can give you a hint on that. Like I had one that loved to go to Sonic, you know, but he likes coconut slushies. I said we got blue ones. I said, well, they taste the same, but we have to get white. Your mom can see the blue dye.
That's right.
So I said we have to get the white, and then when you get home, she can't tell whether you had it or not.
You are a great grandpa. I can tell.
All right, the bell's about to ring on us, so let's wrap this up. So, what's one thing this group wants to share out? Hello.
We're going good right here.
Oh,
I know, it's so good. I love the conversation.
We have two polar opposites.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Some of them are longer winded than others. Yeah. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. I hate to put a period on this, but we've heard some really, really good things. What's one thing? Keep it short. What's one thing?
Well, I think the ones of us, we got some people that are not grandparents.
Right.
That's okay.
We corrected.
We have to do, yes, please do.
So they're the basketball folks who buy the tickets and yell at the referees, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe all three of us kind of thought that it's the difficulty in knowing when to step in.
Oh, that is so true. the balance.
And when to recognize, for me, it's recognizing my shortcomings as a parent. When my kids were that age, you know, I gotta give them a lot of, I think Melody said this, we gotta give them a lot of grace. Because, you know, as bad as I was as a parent, my kids turned out really good.
Yeah.
And so I gotta hope that, you know, they're gonna make their own mistakes, but that's, it's hard. But I was telling them, we're fortunate, I don't have any examples where I've had things that I really feel like my kids are failing at and I need to step in there. Fortunately, that has not come up yet. And we're a long ways, but it could. And so just being the balance of knowing when to step in or what would be important enough to really step in. I'm not done it because I think that they're doing a great job.
Okay. What about over here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the theme was just similar as far as trying to stay in your own lane, but still give guidance, step in when you have to, but let them make their own.
I'm going to try that this
Okay.
week. I'm going to try that this week.
Very similar, except so what Jason did different. Maybe a couple of them say energy, have enough energy to keep up.
Keep up with that, beast.
Stay involved. So, I'm not there, smuggling car, but I can see that happening. I can relate to that.
That peanut butter pie I ate the other night helped with that, so.
I like my chair to sit back and watch and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I'm not getting up for that.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is like we all talked about in here, the difference between if you have more than one child. Even when you were raising your own child, you had to deal with that kid a little bit different you dealt with this kid.
Yes.
Well, you got the same thing, you know, it's okay sometimes with this set of grandkids, you know, you can step this a little bit over, but on the other side is you gotta be a little more careful how you handle situations.
Yeah,
I mean,
excellent.
that's tough.
Yeah.
So true.
Let's close out. We've got some door prizes, okay? Melody's
One.
gonna have you have one door prize,
We have one draw
okay?
for
Let's
one.
go back over the 1, 2, 4 thing. 1 is get yourself ready. Make yourself ready. 2 is to teach your children and your grandchildren. And 4 is to think 4 generations. We just spent a lot of last few minutes talking about number 2 here. Even though they're having kids, they have their kids, they're our grandkids, we still have the opportunity to teach them, okay? Because that book's not very well written on how to raise your kids. We've had some life experiences, and it doesn't hurt to share that with them. I heard somebody over here say,
They don't wanna hear it though.
if you say it 3 times, they'll hear it eventually.